we are finally at the point where UDeCOTT is handing over the TREC, what we know as the TREC ICU, to the Tobago House of Assembly and therefore to the Tobago Regional Health Authority. Thank you all so much for all of the hard work, and I know that the people of Tobago would be pleased that they now have this additional facility. I have said in the past that it's one of the spaces that I hope we don't need to use, because that means we have people who are extremely ill, but if we do need to use it, the facility is available here in Tobago.
Given that we had the uprise of the pandemic, we saw it fit to renovate the building to ensure that we have the specifications needed to treat infectious patients. So what we did is that we had to tear down walls, etc. One of the things that is basically technical jargon, but we had to do something which is called negative pressure. What it basically means is to ensure that whatever takes place inside here doesn't get on the outside. And one of the final things that we end up doing is that based on the layout that was constructed, we have 6 areas, 6 patient beds. We have 2 areas in particular which deal with patients who may be suffering from renal failure, that more or less means kidney disease, as well as an isolation room. That further isolation room ensures that should a patient be infected with COVID-19, as well as some other infectious disease, for example, tuberculosis, they can now be treated within that specific area for their illness.
We also now have the ability to fill our own oxygen tanks, and I know that is something that was causing quite a headache to the TRHA over the last couple of years, because they had to go to Trinidad and figure out how to maneuver that process. So we now have enough options to fill our oxygen tanks here in Tobago for the use on the island, and I think that is a very good place for us to be at. What we seem to be moving out of the pandemic phase, moving into the endemic phase. Of course, this area up at the fort is one that we hope to transform into a center of excellence for infection control. So let us not think that because we're not hearing as much about COVID-19 that is the end of it. But I think we are going to be at a place where if we need to treat any other kind of infection, we have the space to do it up here.
As part of the facility, is normally broken into 2 parts. We are currently in the hot zone where the patients are housed, and we have the cold zone where the medical staff will be doing all their administrative work, etc., as well as monitoring the patients from the outside through our ICT or IT infrastructure.
And at the beginning of COVID, I don't even remember, we were at a point where we weren't even treating patients in Tobago. We were shipping them to Trinidad, and even the patients who needed to be who needed intensive care, we had to figure out how to get them to Trinidad to do that kind of service. We are now at the point where they do not have to go to Trinidad again, and I am hoping that with the working of the TRHA, with the expertise that we have on hand, we may actually get to the point that we can have Trinidadians come up to Tobago to use this service, because it is that top of the line.